Hi, Tracy Hugelmeyer here from VintagepreneurUniversity.com, where I help vintage sellers start, grow, and scale their business on Etsy. And I also own my own vintage business, Rustic Eye on Etsy, that I've had since 2013. And this is week 2 of Friday feedback, and I cannot wait to introduce you to today's review. However, I first want to kind of give a little bit of an apology because I chose, and you can go look at my last video. I'll link to it for you, my last review for Friday feedback, which is my first review for Lulu with Melita Vintage Clothes. And I had so much fun doing her review. The thing was, she is a little bit further along than a lot of people, possibly like you, who are just starting out. And I really didn't think about how that would make some of the newer shops feel. And I got some feedback from my feedback that, people who previously wanted to submit their shops for reviews, volunteer for reviews, a couple of the junkies, they were kind of hesitant after they saw my review for Lulu. And I get it. I'm sorry. I was not meaning at all to make anyone feel like their shop wasn't good enough just because I was giving Lulu the feedback that I was. And she has, much more experience than a newer shop. And so her review is going to be different, for example, than someone who's brand new. If someone's brand new, I'm going to focus more on what are the best next steps for them. So I did choose somebody who's a little bit newer for today's review, so you can kind of see what I mean. And the other thing is, I could tell by looking at Lulu's shop that she's already taken a lot of my free training and done a lot of work based on those recommendations in the training. So if you want to check out my free training, you can go to VintagepreneurUniversity.com/free training, and I'll link to that in the notes for you as well, so you can check it out. So today I want to introduce you to a super cool new shop that's just getting started, but I can tell she's off to an excellent start. She is Kellie at KB Design Home. And right now I'm going to go ahead and jump behind the screen so I can give her my review. See you there. Okay, so here we are in Kellie's lovely new shop. You can see she's been open just since this year, 2019, and so far she's had 9 sales. Now, the first thing that I thought when I went to her shop and looked at it is, oh my gosh, this looks like an Instagram feed, like one of those really good Instagram feeds, because it's just so stunning to look at these pictures. They're really coolly styled, and it just kind of, definitely would grab your attention, any one of these photos, if you were scrolling through. So she's doing an absolutely excellent job with her photography. Now, if you're new, or even if you're, have been around a while and you're questioning your photography, please don't feel bad. This is a skill that takes a long time to perfect. If you take my free training or any of my trainings, you'll know that I share with you my first photo that I put on Etsy, and it's scary. I'm not even kidding you. It is scary. So, and her pictures, I would say, are like better than my pictures even today. So she's got a skill, which is really cool, and she should continue to incorporate that in her brand and in her shop. So the first thing I did when I looked at this and I thought, this looks like an Instagram feed, I went and looked at her Instagram, and lo and behold, she has a beautiful Instagram account and profile. So she has experience with this, which is going to carry over to her branding and her success at Etsy. So she already kind of has that going for her. Again, if not everybody who opens an Etsy shop already has the branding down and those types of things. So those are things that you are going to learn and acquire as you go. Don't feel bad if you're not there yet. I think it's excellent that she already has this, but that is more rare than, normal. So look at this branding. It's just adorable. I love it. Again, you can tell that she has some experience with this, I would guess, even before she opened her Etsy shop. And I think just by looking at this a little while, I don't know a lot about Kellie or her her shop prior to looking at this, but it looks like she has some prior experience, perhaps at a brick and mortar. That's just my guess out off the bat. I could be wrong there. Okay. But anyway, I love, 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 what she's done so far with branding and how she's incorporating that in her photos and in her Etsy shop. Super cool. Okay, back in her Etsy shop, you can tell, the impression that I get right off the bat is her brand is very clean and straightforward. And I think that might be why she's not including a banner or featured photos here, because she's really letting her photos, her branding throughout her photos and her logo kind of speak for themselves. And when it comes to using a banner and featured photos, really the benefit of that is if it adds to your brand. So if having those things doesn't add to your brand, then there's really not a whole lot of benefit for having them. So I think that her not having a banner or featured photos is working just fine for her in her shop. So Kelly, if you, if that's by choice, I think that that's totally fine. It's working really well for you. Now, I've already commented on how amazing I think her photos are, and the cohesiveness of her branding and her look are just amazing. The only feedback I would give with her photos is I think that some of the photos, so like this one, for example, if you just looked at that as a first photo as you're scrolling through Etsy search, it might not be clear right away what it is that you would be purchasing, because you see these two little straw guys here and you see the water bottle here. Even though it's right there in the title, if you look, people don't like to think too hard. It's just the nature of the information world that we live in, where, we are looking at so much all the time, and so our brains get overwhelmed. So anything that you can do to kind of make things clear and simple to someone is going to help you kind of catch their attention, if that makes sense. So, but this is an easy fix. This photo is awesome. I would just recommend that you put these little straw guys a little bit off the screen, kind of like how you did on in this photo here with the little pepper shaker. So you included your props, but it's very clear what's for sale here if I glance at it, because everything else is off the screen a little bit. So this is our focus. This is our clear focus in this photo. So hopefully you can see the difference of what I mean there. If you just move these a little bit off the screen and it doesn't even have to be centered, as long as you have a good composition of your photo. It doesn't necessarily need to be exactly centered. Like you can see here, the pepper shaker isn't exactly in the center, but the composition is so great that your eye goes right to it. You know exactly what you're looking at it if you were to be, what you were looking at if you were scrolling through a feed with all kinds of other pepper shakers, for example, right? So you might not even have to rephotograph. You could just play around with your thumbnail a little bit to see if you can change the positioning of this just a little bit, so it's a little bit more clear. And then these signs, again, these are like really cool photos. I love them. The props are perfect. The lighting's great. Everything's great. I would say probably just move it up a tiny bit so you have like your whole sign showing for these, just so that that's really pleasing to the eye as well. Otherwise, I have absolutely no feedback on these amazing photos. And yay for your first review. I know that always feels amazing when you get that first everything. So congratulations on your first review, and 5 stars at that. Pretty awesome. I love that she accepts returns, exchanges, and cancellations. I know all the rest of the stuff you'll continue to build out. If you ever have any, questions that you're getting pretty often, you might want to add them in the FAQs, but I think this is, a complete filled out policy for a new shop, which is great. You're on top of that. I would love to see you, Kelly, add an about section here, because I did look at your Instagram just a little bit, and I really love your story. I think that if you brought some of that into your Etsy shop, that would go a long way for you. So I encourage you to fill out your about section and add some photos and maybe, even a video. I don't even have a video in my shop yet, but it's a good thing to add if you ever get a chance. It's on my to-do list. But yeah, that's something you can think about doing once you're ready. The other thing on your main page here is you don't have sections yet, which is fine because you are just starting and you don't have really that many items in your shop yet, which makes sense. Just make sure when you do add sections that you're using your keywords. I would say that here in your shop title, you might want to think about taking out gathered, found, and collected, because that's not really optimizing that spot for outside search engines, and instead concentrate on or focus on I would say you're using a lot of home decor in your shop and your brand. So, and you have that even in your name, right? You have KB Design Home and KB Design Home Decor, and that's all good. But if you include that home decor in your title, then you'll be telling the outside search engines like Google that that's what you have to offer, because they're not seeing that they're not pulling that from your logo, but they will pull it from your shop title here. So that's just one piece of advice there that you can think about. And then the last thing that I want to say before I take a look at one of her listings is I think that she's doing a really good job of pricing her items. I notice a lot of new shops struggle with charging what their items are worth, and not only their items, but their time and their skill. Never underestimate your skill for finding these amazing things. Even though it comes easy to you, that is not something that, the general population that you're selling to has as a skill or has access to, or both. So don't be afraid to charge what you are definitely worth, but then you have to back it up with a premium experience. So that's always my advice. Charge, even if you're brand new, there's no problem with starting with a premium brand, which is what I think that Kellie is doing here, which is really great. So she's charging premium prices, but she's backing it up with a premium brand, and not just by how everything looks and is cohesive and pulled together, but by giving amazing customer service and an amazing experience for your customers. You're going to be reinforcing that premium brand. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so here we are in her listing, the pepper shaker. I chose that one to review. It's just so cute. I think that the first thing that I thought of is this reminds me of like a farmhouse type look. So let's check and see if she's using farmhouse at all in her tags. I don't see it, so I would recommend that you try and incorporate farmhouse decor into your tags and titles, and even in your description here, to help reinforce that that's what this is for anyone who might be searching for farmhouse decor. That could help your search engine optimization. And here I like that you're using 3 long tail keyword phrases. That's right on par with what Etsy recommends for our title or item titles. I do notice that you repeated pepper shaker 3 times. So while that's not going to hurt you in any way, it also could, it doesn't help you, because once is all it takes for the search engines to pick it up, the Etsy search engines. So you could think of maybe some other things to say here that might help somebody find your item. So like I'd already mentioned, farmhouse decor, or something, for something mentioning that spice cabinets or spice cabinet display, something like that. Or who it makes, another trick is to think of who it makes a good gift for. So maybe like gift for new homeowner, for example, might be something that you could include in your title to just help your search engine optimization a little bit more. I think it's super smart that you're using basket weave in your keywords here. That's great. And then you're also repeating some of your, and also porcelain, because some people are likely searching for a porcelain pepper shaker. And then you repeat a lot of that in your description in a natural way as well, which is great. I do recommend that you maybe look at adding a little bit more detail in your description. And I actually have a free item description template that I provide in my free training that I mentioned earlier. So if you take that, you'll be able to kind of see what I mean as far as the types of things that you want to include here, and making it very clear to anyone who's looking at this, answering all their questions. You do include the dimensions, which is awesome, but you want to use the description as your opportunity to really sell your item. Your description plus your photos are going to be what sells your item. So you might try and help someone see how this will fit into their life. And you do that really beautifully with your photos, but you can also do it in your item description here. Okay. Let's take a look at the photos. I think you do an amazing job at showing all the details, including, the maker mark, or I'm sorry, where it's made, and, the condition that it's in, so that there are no questions here as to what I'm going to receive. When you sell this item, you can see the little kind of nick here. You might want to call that out in your item detail as well. I usually say something like, this item contains marks and small nicks as depicted in the photos. That's part of what makes it so amazingly awesome, or something to those terms where you're pointing it out, but I know that I believe, and you probably do too as a vintage seller, that all these imperfections are what make these items so amazing a lot of the times. Okay, so again, you're doing an amazing job with your photos. There's really nothing else that you need to do here. Okay, jumping down to your keywords, I do see that you have some opportunity in your tags to add some keywords, because you're not using all 13 of the tags available to you. And that's okay, just that's something that you can work on. And also it's recommended that you try not to use like one-word tags, because then you're you're not using the full space available here, so it could be a missed opportunity. But two, if somebody is searching for, say, porcelain spice jar, if that all fits, then if you have porcelain spice jar in your tag, you're going to potentially come up as more relevant in a search. So just think about that. And if you're stuck on keywords, check out eRank. I'll link that in the comments. They have a keyword finder, which is free to use, and it's absolutely great for kind of, suggesting terms that you hadn't even thought about that might be helpful for you. So I'll link that in the notes as well. So Kelly, you are doing an amazing job as a brand new shop. You should be super, super proud of what you've accomplished so far. It really is something that I think a lot of sellers that are new, they kind of get down on themselves because they're not seeing a lot of movement. And it's a lot of hard work in the beginning. But you're doing a lot of things right. And again, I did not choose Kellie's shop because it looked beautiful. I chose it because she's a new shop who a lot of you are, and hopefully there are some learning opportunities here that will help more new shops as well. I would say your next best steps are to really just focus on adding more items and learning everything you can about search engine optimization so that people can find your shop. But also, you have a really cool Instagram shop, so I would leverage that, to get a lot of traffic to your shop. You're super lucky to have that as a new shop. I know I definitely didn't. I know most shops probably don't. But I'm saying for you in your position, I think you are going to be served well if you leverage that Instagram traffic. And then also work on your search engine optimization so that you can get more of the Etsy organic traffic, but that takes time. All right, so I hope that was helpful for not only Kelly, but anybody who's watching this video, especially new sellers. I'm going to continue to do reviews of shops at all different levels because we have something to learn from, shops at all different levels. And I want to tell you that I'm still learning as well. It's a never-ending process. So don't feel bad where you're at, because you should be just proud of yourself that you are doing this. You got started, you started your own business, and that's a huge thing. Definitely feel proud about that. Just a quick disclaimer that when you are making changes in your shop, make sure that you're not changing everything at once. You want to pay close attention to things that are already working for you and do more of that. Don't change the things that are working, but find opportunities where you can make small tweaks a little at a time so that you can keep a handle on what is bringing you more success and what might not be helping you, or that you maybe don't need to spend so much time on. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel and also click the little bell so that you get notified anytime a new video is coming out. And if you want to get your own free review, I am offering this for our Etsy Junkies. You can become an Etsy Junkie a couple of ways. Either join our free Facebook group or take my free training. You're an Etsy Junkie and you can just shoot me a message and let me know that, hey, I'd like to volunteer to get my free review too. Thanks again. I'll see you soon. Bye.